Are you over 60, eating what you believe is healthy, but still feeling more tired, gaining weight, or dealing with rising blood sugar? Here's something most people don't realize. The foods that once supported your body in your 30s and 40s can silently start working against you after 60. Not because those foods suddenly became bad, but because your metabolism changed. Here's what's really going on inside your body. As you age, your body naturally becomes more insulin resistant. Your muscles don't absorb glucose as efficiently, your liver becomes more prone to storing fat, and your mitochondria, the energy factories inside your cells, start slowing down. So the exact same bowl of cereal, the same glass of juice, the same low-fat snack now creates a completely different metabolic response. Instead of clean energy, you get blood sugar spikes. Instead of fat burning, you get fat storage. Instead of stable energy, you get crashes, cravings, and inflammation. And over time, this leads to something much more serious: increased belly fat, higher risk of type 2 diabetes, cognitive decline, chronic fatigue, and accelerated aging. Let me explain this with a simple analogy. Think of your metabolism like a car engine. When you're younger, it's like a high-performance engine. It can handle different types of fuel without much issue. But after 60, it becomes more like a sensitive, older engine. If you keep pouring in the wrong fuel, even if it looks clean on the outside, you start damaging the system from within. And here's the problem. Most people are not told this. They continue eating heart-healthy processed foods. They rely on high-carb snacks for energy. They avoid fats. And unknowingly, they accelerate metabolic damage every single day. What the research shows is that after 60, your body becomes far more sensitive to blood sugar spikes, chronic inflammation, hormonal imbalances like cortisol and insulin, which means your food choices now have a much bigger impact than ever before. But here's the good news. This is not about restriction. This is not about starving yourself. And this is definitely not about complicated diets. It's about understanding which foods quietly harm your metabolism and replacing them with smarter choices that support longevity, energy, and fat burning. In today's video, we're going to break this down step by step. You'll learn which common foods you should avoid after 60, even if they're marketed as healthy, why these foods disrupt your hormones and metabolism, and most importantly, what to eat instead to protect your brain, your energy, and your lifespan. Because once you understand this, you stop guessing. You stop following outdated advice, and you start working with your body, not against it. And if you're serious about optimizing your health naturally, without relying on medications, make sure you stay with me till the end. Because one small shift in your daily eating pattern can literally change the way your body ages. Let's start with the number one category that silently damages your metabolism after 60: refined carbohydrates and sugar-heavy foods. This includes things like white bread, breakfast, cereals, biscuits and cookies, sugary tea and coffee cakes, pastries, even healthy granola bars. Now here's what most people think. I don't eat that much sugar, so I'm fine. But here's what's really going on inside your body. Every time you eat refined carbs, they are rapidly broken down into glucose. This floods your bloodstream, forcing your pancreas to release insulin, the hormone that helps move sugar into your cells. Now, in your younger years, your body handles this fairly well, but after 60, your cells become less responsive to insulin. This is called insulin resistance. Let me explain this with a simple analogy. Imagine insulin is a key, and your cells are doors. When you're young, the key works smoothly, glucose enters the cells, and everything stays balanced. But over time, those locks become rusty, so your body starts producing more and more insulin just to force the door open. And here's the problem. When insulin is high, your body stops burning fat. It starts storing more fat, especially around the belly. It increases inflammation, and it accelerates aging processes. This is why many people over 60 say, "I'm eating less, but still gaining weight." It's not about calories anymore. It's about hormones and metabolic response. What the research shows is that repeated blood sugar spikes lead to increased risk of type 2 diabetes, damage to blood vessels, brain fog, and memory decline, and even higher risk of Alzheimer's disease. Now here's where it gets even more dangerous. Many of these foods are marketed as healthy. For example, whole grain, cereals, low-fat crackers, packaged oats with added sugar. They still spike your blood sugar almost the same way. So what's the solution? You don't need to eliminate carbs completely, but you need to control how they enter your body. Here's a simple practical protocol. 1. Always pair carbs with protein or fat. Instead of eating bread alone, combine it with eggs, olive oil, or yogurt. This slows glucose absorption. 2. Switch to low glycemic carbs. Choose foods like vegetables, lentils, chickpeas, small portions of berries. These release sugar slowly and don't spike insulin. 3. Remove liquid sugar completely. Cut out juices, sodas, and sugary drinks. Liquid sugar hits your bloodstream the fastest. 4. Try a 12-14 hour overnight fasting window. This gives your insulin levels time to drop and allows your body to switch into fat-burning mode. 5. Start your day with protein, not sugar, instead of cereal or toast. Go for eggs, nuts, or Greek yogurt. This single shift can stabilize your energy for the entire day. Now let me repeat the key idea, because this is critical. After 60, your body is no longer tolerant to sugar spikes. Even small, frequent spikes can create long-term damage. But when you control insulin, you unlock something powerful: better energy, reduced belly fat, sharper brain function, and slower aging. And if this is helping you see food in a completely new way, consider subscribing, because this is exactly what we focus on here: real science-based strategies to fix your health naturally. Now let's move to the second category, and this one is even more deceptive: ultra-processed, low-fat, and packaged foods. These are the foods many people over 60 intentionally choose, thinking they're making a healthier decision. Things like low-fat yogurt diet snacks, packaged healthy crackers, ready-to-eat meals, sugar-free desserts. On the surface, they look safe, low-fat, fewer calories, convenient. But here's what's really going on inside your body. When food manufacturers remove fat, they don't just leave the food empty, they replace that fat with sugar, refined starches, and chemical additives to maintain taste and texture. And this creates a perfect storm for your metabolism. Let me explain this with a simple analogy. Imagine you remove the brakes from a car and then press the accelerator harder to compensate. That's exactly what happens here. Fat is what slows down digestion and keeps you full. When it's removed and sugar is added, you get rapid digestion, fast glucose spikes, and increased hunger shortly after. So instead of eating less, you end up eating more frequently. Now here's where it becomes dangerous after 60. Your liver, which is responsible for processing nutrients and detoxifying your body, becomes more sensitive with age, and these ultra-processed foods overload it, especially because of hidden sugars, artificial sweeteners, preservatives, industrial additives. What the research shows is that high intake of ultra-processed foods is linked to increased inflammation, fatty liver development, hormonal disruption, higher risk of metabolic diseases. And here's something most people don't realize. Even sugar-free or diet foods can still spike insulin, because artificial sweeteners can confuse your metabolism and trigger similar hormonal responses. So your body stays in a fat-storing mode, even when you think you're dieting. Now let's talk about the real-world impact. You eat a low-fat yogurt in the morning. By midday, you feel hungry again. You snack on packaged crackers, then maybe a healthy protein bar. And by evening, your insulin has been elevated all day. No fat burning, constant cravings, slow metabolic damage. So what's the solution? You don't need extreme diets. You just need to go back to real whole foods. Here's a simple protocol you can follow. 1. Choose full-fat natural foods. Don't fear healthy fats. Go for full-fat yogurt, unsweetened, eggs, olive oil, avocados. These stabilize blood sugar and keep you full longer. 2. Read labels carefully if a product has more than 5 to 6 ingredients, especially ones you can't pronounce. It's likely ultra-processed. 3. Eliminate diet and low-fat traps. These are often the worst offenders for hidden sugars and metabolic confusion. 4. Focus on single-ingredient foods, foods that don't need a label, vegetables, meat, fish, nuts, seeds. 5. Reduce eating frequency. Whole foods naturally reduce hunger, allowing your body to spend more time in fat-burning mode. Let me repeat the key idea here. Low fat does not mean healthy, especially after 60. In fact, these foods often do the opposite of what you expect. They increase hunger, disrupt insulin, and overload your liver. But when you switch to real nutrient-dense foods, you create stability in your body. Stable blood sugar, stable energy, stable weight. And if this is opening your eyes to how misleading modern food marketing really is, stay with me, because the next category is something most people use daily without realizing it's accelerating inflammation at the cellular level. Now let's talk about something that most people never question: the oils you cook with every single day. Because this next category is one of the biggest hidden drivers of inflammation after 60: industrial seed oils. These include soybean oil, corn oil, sunflower oil, canola oil, vegetable oil blends. You'll find them everywhere, in restaurant food, in packaged snacks, even in foods labeled heart healthy. But here's what's really going on inside your body. These oils are extremely high in omega-6 fatty acids. Now, your body does need some omega-6, but the problem today is imbalance. After 60, your body becomes far more sensitive to chronic inflammation. And excess omega-6, especially from processed oils, pushes your body into a constant inflammatory state. Let me explain this with a simple analogy. Think of inflammation like a small fire. In the right situation, it's helpful. It helps your body heal. But when that fire is constantly being fueled, it slowly starts damaging everything around it. That's exactly what happens with these oils. They fuel low-grade chronic inflammation. And over time, that contributes to joint pain, artery damage, brain aging, insulin resistance, increased risk of chronic disease. Now here's where it gets even more concerning. These oils are not just high in omega-6, they are also highly processed and unstable. During manufacturing, they are exposed to high heat chemical solvents, oxidation. This creates toxic byproducts that enter your body and increase oxidative stress. And after 60, your body's ability to handle oxidative stress is already reduced, so the damage accumulates faster. What the research shows is that diets high in these processed oils are linked to increased markers of inflammation, higher risk of cardiovascular disease, faster cellular aging. Now think about this. If you're cooking with these oils every day or eating restaurant and packaged food regularly, you're constantly adding fuel to that internal fire, even if everything else in your diet is healthy. So what's the solution? You don't need to eliminate fats. You just need to choose the right ones. Here's a simple, practical protocol. 1, replace seed oils with stable, natural fats. Use olive oil for low to medium heat, coconut oil, butter, or ghee, if tolerated. These are far more stable and less inflammatory. 2, avoid fried and restaurant foods as much as possible. Most restaurants use cheap vegetable oils that are reused multiple times, increasing toxicity. 3, check ingredient labels. If you see soybean, corn, or canola oil, limit or avoid that product. 4, balance your fats. Increase omega-3 intake from foods like fatty fish, walnuts, flax seeds. This helps counter inflammation. 5, keep cooking simple grilling, steaming, sautéing with stable fats. This reduces oxidative damage. Now let me repeat the key idea, because this is critical. Not all fats are harmful, but the wrong fats can silently age your body. After 60, your priority is not just calories, it's inflammation control. When you reduce inflammatory oils, you'll notice less joint stiffness, better heart health, improved brain clarity, and more stable energy. And if this is helping you rethink something as simple as cooking oil, consider subscribing, because small changes like this can create massive long-term impact on your health. Now let's talk about something that surprises almost everyone: fruit juices and high-sugar fruits. Most people over 60 believe these are among the healthiest choices they can make. After all, it's natural, right? It comes from fruit, it has vitamins, it's often recommended for energy. But here's what's really going on inside your body. When you drink fruit juice, even fresh juice, you are essentially consuming concentrated sugar without fiber. and that changes everything. Let me explain this with a simple analogy. Eating a whole fruit is like slowly pouring water into a glass. Your body can handle it easily, but drinking fruit juice is like dumping that same water in all at once. It overflows. The same thing happens in your metabolism. Whole fruits contain fiber, which slows down sugar absorption. But juice, it removes that fiber, leaving behind a rapid surge of fructose and glucose. Now here's the critical part. Glucose can be used by many cells in your body, but fructose is processed almost entirely by your liver. And after 60, your liver becomes more vulnerable to overload. So when you consume high amounts of fructose, especially from juice, your liver starts converting that excess sugar into fat. This leads to something called fatty liver. And here's why that's dangerous. Your liver is the control center for your metabolism. When it becomes fatty, insulin resistance increases, fat burning decreases, inflammation rises, energy levels drop, and over time, this can accelerate aging and chronic disease. What the research shows is that high intake of liquid sugars, including fruit juices, is strongly linked to increased visceral fat, belly fat, higher risk of metabolic syndrome, liver dysfunction. Now let's make this practical. A single glass of orange juice can contain the sugar of 4 tar 5 oranges, but you would never sit and eat 5 oranges at once. That's the difference. Juice bypasses your body's natural control system. Now, this doesn't mean fruit is bad. It means the form and quantity matter, especially after 60. So what's the solution? Here's a simple, realistic protocol. 1. Eliminate fruit juices completely. This includes fresh juice, packaged juice smoothies with high fruit content. Liquid sugar is the fastest way to spike your metabolism in the wrong direction. 2. Choose whole, low-sugar fruits. Stick to berries, apples, pears. These contain fiber and have a lower glycemic impact. 3. Control portion size. Even healthy fruit should be eaten in moderation. 1 small serving at a time is enough. 4. Pair fruit with protein or fat. For example, apple with nuts, berries with yogurt. This slows sugar absorption and protects your insulin response. 5. Avoid fruit on an empty stomach if you're sensitive. This can cause rapid blood sugar spikes in some individuals. Now let me repeat the key idea. Natural does not always mean harmless, especially in concentrated forms. After 60, your liver needs protection, not overload. When you reduce excess fructose, you support better fat metabolism, stable blood sugar, improved liver health, and overall longevity. Now let's move into a category that most people intentionally increase as they age: protein. You've probably heard, eat more protein to stay strong after 60. And that's true. But here's the part no one explains properly. Not all protein supports longevity. Some types can actually increase inflammation and metabolic stress. Let's talk specifically about processed meats and low-quality protein sources. This includes sausages, hot dogs, deli meats, processed kebabs, frozen breaded meats. These are convenient, affordable, and widely consumed. But here's what's really going on inside your body. These meats are often loaded with preservatives like nitrates and nitrites, excess sodium additives and fillers, oxidized fats from processing and reheating. Now, after 60, your body becomes more sensitive to inflammation, oxidative stress, digestive inefficiency. So when you regularly consume these processed proteins, you're not just getting protein. You're also introducing compounds that increase inflammation in your blood vessels, stress your liver and kidneys, disrupt your gut microbiome. Let me explain this with a simple analogy. Think of protein like building material for your body. High-quality protein is like clean, solid bricks. But processed meat, it's like using damaged, toxic materials. Yes, you're still building something, but the structure becomes weaker over time. What the research shows is that high intake of processed meats is associated with increased risk of cardiovascular disease, higher inflammation markers, greater risk of metabolic disorders. And here's something even more important. After 60, your body doesn't just need protein, it needs efficient, clean protein that it can absorb and use properly, because digestion and absorption decline with age, so quality matters more than quantity. Now let's talk about what to do instead. Here's a simple, effective protocol. 1. Prioritize whole, unprocessed protein sources. Focus on eggs, fresh chicken fish, grass-fed meat, if available, lentils, and legumes. These provide clean amino acids without harmful additives. 2. Include protein in every main meal. This helps maintain muscle mass, stabilize blood sugar, and support metabolism. 3. Avoid daily consumption of processed meats. If you eat them, keep it occasional, not a staple. 4. Support digestion. As you age, stomach acid and enzymes decrease. Simple habits like eating slowly, chewing properly, avoiding overeating can significantly improve protein absorption. 5. Combine protein with micronutrients, add vegetables and healthy fats to improve nutrient utilization and reduce inflammation. Now let me repeat the key idea, because this is essential. After 60, protein is critical, but quality determines whether it heals or harms. When you shift to cleaner protein sources, you support muscle preservation, better metabolism, reduced inflammation, and stronger overall health. And if this is helping you rethink what healthy protein really means, consider subscribing, because these small corrections can completely transform how your body functions over time. Now let's talk about the final category. And this one often goes completely unnoticed: late night eating and constant snacking. Many people over 60 assume that eating little and often is healthy, or that having a snack before bed is harmless. Here's the problem. Your metabolism has a natural rhythm called the circadian rhythm. This rhythm controls insulin sensitivity, fat-burning hormone production, energy levels. And after 60, these rhythms become even more important because your body doesn't bounce back as quickly from insulin spikes or poor sleep. Let me explain with a simple analogy. Think of your metabolism like a factory. During the day, all machines run efficiently. Insulin works, fat burns, energy is produced. At night, the factory is supposed to slow down and repair itself. When you snack constantly or eat late at night, the machines keep running unnecessarily, insulin stays elevated. Fat burning is blocked, cellular repair processes slow down. This creates a subtle but powerful pattern that slowly accelerates aging, weight gain, and metabolic dysfunction. What the research shows is that eating late, even healthy foods, can increase fat storage, especially around the abdomen, disrupt sleep hormones like melatonin, elevate cortisol, which drives inflammation, reduce mitochondrial efficiency, lowering energy. So what's the solution? You don't need extreme fasting. You just need to honor your natural metabolic rhythm. Here's a simple, practical protocol. 1. Establish an overnight fasting window of 12-14 hours. For example, finish dinner by 7 p.m., eat breakfast around 7-8 a.m. too. Avoid snacks after dinner. If you're truly hungry, drink water, tea, or herbal infusions, not processed foods or carbs. 3. Shift calories earlier in the day. Prioritize your largest meal for lunch, not late dinner. This aligns with natural insulin sensitivity. 4. Focus on protein and vegetables for dinner. This slows digestion, avoids sugar spikes, and supports overnight repair. 5. Make it consistent. Your body thrives on routine. Even small shifts in timing can dramatically improve fat metabolism, sleep, and energy. Now let me repeat the key idea, because this is crucial. Eating at the wrong time, even the right foods, can sabotage metabolism, hormone balance, and fat burning after 60. When you honor your natural rhythms, your energy stabilizes, fat burning resumes, hormones normalize, sleep quality improves, and this final shift, combined with avoiding sugar, processed foods, inflammatory oils, high fructose foods, and low quality protein, creates a complete metabolic reset.